Do you want to work in sports? Then you came to the right place. Women Changing the Game is bringing you an inside look at what it takes to be a leader in this industry as we hear from the top leaders across all fields. We're helping you girl boss your way through game day. Changing the game near you. Brought to you by Sports Girls Club. I'm your host, Mary Kate Siegel, and this is Women Changing the Game. Women Changing the Game. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Women Changing the Game. I'm here with three very special women changing the game in the sports industry today. They are bringing brands to life here at New England Sports Network. Welcome on, Bethany, Emily, and Sakie.
Thank you.
Hi. So nice to chat with you guys. So excited to talk with you all and learn about your roles here at NESN. So why don't we start by telling us your name, what exactly you do here at NESN, and kind of how you got here. I think we'll start with Bethany.
Sure, yeah. First, thanks for having us. We're really excited to be here, and we love everything you're doing in the space, so thank you. My name is Bethany Castellano. I'm the head of partnership strategy here at NESN and both at our sister network, Sportsnet Pittsburgh. I'm born and raised in Boston, big sports fan. We are as crazy as you think we are. Growing up, a lot of my favorite memories were centered around sports, whether it be at Fenway, my brother's games, whatever. Sports was always a big piece of my life, and I always wanted to be in that space. As I grew up, I started to see the power of sports and how it can bring so many people from so many different backgrounds, communities, walks of life together, and I wanted to be part of that. So I started my journey. I went to undergrad at Endicott College, a small school north of the city, and I studied business there. After my time there, I went over to Northeastern here in the city, and I got my master's in sports leadership. In that program, we started to see different avenues that you could get into in the industry because I honestly wasn't super familiar with that space, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. While I was there, I started to take a liking to partnerships. I thought it was super cool how one decision can make two parties, whether that be clients, businesses, whatever that looked like, success, and how success looks so different from person to person. And the relationship building, I love to yap. So if I'm yapping with my job, then we're doing good. So from there, I started to apply to roles. I landed here at NESN on the national sales team, and really got to be exposed to the industry, the sports media landscape. And something I didn't know was there's a whole other language to be learned essentially in the media landscape. Yeah. I didn't know what a lot of the things these people were saying to me. So I think a lot of my foundation for my career was learned in that role. And I got exposure to a lot of things, which was really awesome. I stayed in that role for about 3 years. And then I popped over to DraftKings. It was right as sports betting was launching in Massachusetts, so super exciting time to be in that space. Learned a lot, and I was in VIP hospitality over there. So partnerships to an extent as well, but really got to see the B2C side of things as opposed to the B2B side of things that I was getting in that role at NESN. Got a lot of exposure over there, had a lot of fun, got to work on some really cool projects and parties. And then about 2 years ago, coming up on 2 years, popped back over here to NESN into my current role as head of partnership strategy. And in this role, I have two main goals. One is maximizing revenue potential, and the other is optimizing the fan experience. And that's a real fancy way of saying help bring in sponsorship dollars while I'm making sure our fans and our viewers are enjoying, our products. And I love everything I do and who I do it with, so I feel really lucky to be in this space, in this market, and specifically here at NESN and Sportsnet Pittsburgh.
Love it. Wow, you have amazing experience. And Sakie, what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Sakie Sullivan. I am a CRM lifecycle marketing. So it is customer relationship marketing manager. As a consumer, you may receive email and push notification every day. That's my role. So I'm very excited to be here. A little bit of my personal journey is I'm originally from Tokyo, Japan. And at NESN, I feel like almost all the employees are from New England. So I'm pretty unique and one of the only international people here. I think that's cool. And I took my time to figure out what I want to do for my career. And I went to college in Japan, quitting, moving here 13 years ago. And I did a lot of internship, but then finally I found that I love sports industry. So started to apply for different roles, and luckily I landed my job at ASICS. That's a running shoes company. Yeah, so I was doing the email marketing up marketing, also manage a loyalty program, launching the new global markets, and also the content strategy. And I spent about 6 years there. And I wanted to try something new. I wanted to leave the sports industry that time, and I joined both. That's more like consumer electronic and music industry. And I love it there. I was more doing like overseeing the new marketing campaign and high-level strategy. But then after 1 year, I really miss sports industry. So this NESN opportunity, I know. This NESN opportunity popped up, and I thought this is perfect. And from my experience, and the NESN is very new and transformative timing right now, coming from more traditional broadcasting to the streaming industry services. So my experience is more digital and product and also the sports. So this is a great opportunity. And I love working here because everybody's so passionate about sports. And one thing I realized after moving to Boston is New England has such a sports, unique sports culture. And I'm very excited to be a part of this exciting company and the great timing.
Yeah, amazing. Well, that's awesome you came from Tokyo. And I can say as a New Yorker too, coming here, it's a lot being around a lot of people from New England. So definitely can relate a little bit on that one. Emily, what about you?
Yeah, so my name is Emily Langan. I am our senior marketing manager here at NESN, coming up on a year and a half here at NESN. And my role specifically focuses a lot on marketing strategy through execution for both NESN and, as Bethany mentioned, our sister network, Sportsnet Pittsburgh. So thinking about how we promote and get people to watch the Red Sox, Bruins, down in Pittsburgh, the Pirates and Penguins, which are their MLB and NHL teams. And as Sakie mentioned, we also have a direct-to-consumer streaming product in both of those markets. So thinking about how we get people to sign up and subscribe for our streaming product. And then also there's a number of other promotional elements for our original content initiative. So we actually have 8 in-house podcasts. We do different alternate broadcasts where we'll bring in different talent to actually sit and watch the game and speak about it, which is really exciting. And I, unlike Bethany and Sakie, actually do not come from a sports background. So I was born and raised in New England, in southern New Hampshire. So have always kind of been a Boston sports fan, but went to Boston University and graduated with a communications and advertising degree. And actually moved to New York City for about 3 years post-grad, working on the agency side of things. So working with a number of different clients across retail, e-commerce space, helping to support and grow their digital marketing strategies. And after that, I actually moved back home to Boston and landed a job at Meta. So supporting brands to grow their presence on platforms like Facebook, Instagram, etc. Really loved that job. I think both of those positions were very fast-paced and a number of different priorities at any given time, which was a really transferable skill in kind of starting to explore the sports space. You do have to be very adaptable. Things move very, very quickly here. So it was a really nice fit for me when I started to explore new roles and eventually landed the job here at NESN. But as Sakie and Bethany have both touched on, I think really what sets us apart from other sports companies is the culture, and really having that local nuance that we can bring to our fans, to our clients, to our partners, that I think really is the differentiation point for us. So yeah, super excited to be here.
Yeah, well, I love that you touched on that you don't come from a sports background too.
Yes.
I think that's really important because a lot of people listening, I talked with athletes before this too, or they're just fans of the sports, and some people think you might have to be a sports fan or an athlete to work in the sports industry. So I think that's a really important piece to touch on, that you weren't necessarily from a sports background and you're still here thriving in this role.
Yeah.
So I love that you touched on that. But really cool jobs you guys have. something that you guys kind of mentioned, but that you're a part of, or working with the Red Sox. And opening day is a huge event that you guys work, and one of the biggest days here at NESN. So what does all of your roles look like on opening day? Because I'm sure it all kind of looks different. And how does that process leading up to it look like for you guys? I think we'll start with Emily. We'll start with you.
Yeah, for sure. So from a marketing standpoint, opening day is really our top #1 time of the year to really lock people in for the entire season. It's difficult to get people to care and to hook them as we progress through the season. So really opening day is our #1 opportunity. And so I think really what our team thinks about is from an initial standpoint, what types of channels, messaging, creative are going to resonate with our fan base. And so it's a really collective brainstorming effort at first to say, you know, what new storylines are emerging for this season specifically, what new players are on the roster, what new and innovative ways can we get our fans to tune in for this year. So once we kind of complete that initial brainstorming stage, we move into what's called kind of a creative campaign development process. And that's where we sit down and we start to say, okay, what's different about this season than last season? What's relevant to the Red Sox that really sets us apart from every other team across the MLB? So, for example, I don't know if you know, but the Red Sox signed third baseman Alex Bregman right before the start of the season. Right before the start of the season, which helps to generate a lot of organic hype, optimism. We're back. Really, really good vibes. And so we also had a number of really young new players on the roster, really strong pitching staff in place. And so we themed that out around a new era of Red Sox baseball on NESN. That's the campaign that we went with. And I think weaving NESN into that conversation and making sure that we are directly aligned with when people think of Red Sox baseball, they think of NESN was really important to us. And then the second piece is, okay, now we have a campaign. How do we bring it to life? How do we get it out in the world? And I think something we really take pride on is we really left no stone unturned this year, whether it be on TV, social, print, radio, web, roadside billboards, worked with a number of influencers. We made sure that we really elevated our presence across New England and got our messaging out. Happy to say that the results paid off. This past opening day was our top live streamed professional sporting event on NESN 360 to date. Really exciting.
Claps for that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And we also were able to increase linear viewership by about 150% for household ratings, which as Sakie mentioned, is getting more difficult to do as people cut the cord and move over to different streaming platforms. So a really exciting win, which I'm sure Bethany and Sakie will both touch on a bit more in each of their respective roles.
Thank you for that. I mean, congrats as well to all of you. Sakie, what about you? How do you prepare for it?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a good segue what Emily was talking about. So my role is a lot of execution side, but also my primary 2 goals is acquisitions and engagement. So acquisition is getting new subscribers, and engagement is how we can retain, engage with existing customers. And one of the favorite thing I did for this Red Sox opening season is the email countdown series. So, who doesn't get excited to see the live countdown when you open the email, especially something that you're excited about? So I wanted to deliver this excitement through our email or push notification or any communication. So first of all, I changed the email design dramatically. I would say my roles really include creativity, analytical, execution, and the strategic role. So this was kind of masterpiece of what I usually do. And the change the email design, also including what Emily was talking about as a contents-wise, including the prospects, and also as a NESN 360 as a product, how we can educate our benefits so that our user wants to subscribe our product. So this is something that I did throughout the whole pre-game season for one month. And as Emily's point, we saw great results at the end. So that's the acquisition part, but also the retention part. So how we can stay engaged with these existing users. And we used to send out the same copy to everybody, but we want to be more personalized. And one thing I realized is people who watched preseason game, spring training game, they're high engaged customers. So I found that how we can communicate differently to these core customers and more like generic casual fans. So we deliver a different message throughout the different segments, and we saw the great results. So this learning is not just ending at the home opening season. We're gonna carry throughout these seasons, and we're gonna expand more like detailed segmentations to more like improving our engagement as well.
Amazing. Well, I love a countdown, so it would have worked for me. Bethany, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's important to just start off by saying like opening day is such a special day here and in the New England area, and I'm assuming across the nation for the respective MLB teams. And I think a reason for that for me personally is like, I know that every single person within these four walls has their hands in opening day, and it just feels like, to the sport reference, like you're such a team to make this happen. Like every single department here has their hand in that. So when that first pitch is thrown, it's like such a special moment to be like, we did it. Like just in our silent respective teams, like we did it. So from the strategy side of things, our prep honestly starts the day the previous season ends. So our 2025 prep started the day after the 2024 season. So it's a grind for those 6 months. And the way we look at it is a little twofold. So we look at our internal partners and our external partners. And what I mean by that is external being the brands that we're bringing to life. So your Mass Mutual, your Audi, your Dunkin', things like that. And then our internal being all the teams that we partner with internally inside NESN to make sure that our sponsorships are going to be executed, hopefully flawlessly, throughout the season. So from the brand side of things, the first thing we do is we start to look at our renewals for the next season. What went well? What maybe do we have an opportunity to grow on? Understanding from the brands, have your marketing initiatives changed? Because if they have, we may want to relook at what your sponsorship looks like. Maybe there's a different avenue we want to focus on. Maybe you have become more digitally focused. Maybe you have a different audience you're trying to reach. So really understanding what our partners are trying to accomplish next season and how we can best bring that to life within our products. And then from the internal side, it's 6 months of like constant brainstorms and conversations. So we know on the sales team, like any sponsorship that we sell, it's impacting so many different departments. So before we close that deal, checking with production, does this make sense from your side of things? Creative services, does this graphic representation seem right, or how would you better enhance that? Things like that. And also we look at new offerings that we may have on the network. Maybe it's something we didn't have to offer last season or something that we kind of learned along the way. There's room to add a sponsor in this piece, or, I know that this brand really wants to activate X, Y, and Z, and a way to do that is through pre-game segments, whatever that may look like. So really just having a cohesive understanding of what we're trying to do this season and how we can best bring brands to life while we're doing that, and being really collaborative in that piece. So on actual opening day, it's really a moment for us to soak it all in and celebrate the grind that has been the last 6 months. And that's not to say we don't like sit back and I'm like, go Sox.
Watch the game with some popcorn.
But, it's also a day that we really spend with our external partners and get really excited for the season to come. So special day around here, and my favorite.
Yeah, totally. And it seems like you all do separate things, but it kind of comes together, like you mentioned, with the partners and sponsors, which I want to talk a little bit about, because outside of the moments like opening day, many sponsors and partners rely on your teams to elevate their brands in different ways and across NESN's channels. So can each of you touch on a creative way that you guys have elevated these brands through whatever it might be, events or marketing? We'll start with Sakie, you.
Yeah, of course. So this is my passion project. I'm working on the new loyalty program for NESN. So as a consumer, you probably see other brands like Sephora has Beauty Insider or Dunkin' has a Dunkin' Reverse. So I'm working on that for NESN. But as a Bethany's point, we always have partnership and a sponsorship, but we never had a dedicated platform that we can communicate our value and benefits to our consumers. So this is very new. I don't even know how much I should share.
Giving us the tea here.
Sneak peek. But we haven't even have a name yet, so if you have any idea, please let me know.
Ooh, okay, let's get creative, listeners. Drop it.
Definitely. But something that I'm working on is adding the perks. So it can be transactional perks, which is maybe tickets offer, jersey discounts, or more like the discount space versus the experiential parks is when you go to watch the game at the Fenway, is there any special exclusive perks that you can get? So this loyalty program elevates our subscribers, their fans' experience. And I believe that for the long term, so if our customers are happy through loyalty program and they stay subscribed our product, and it's gonna help us achieve the business goal. So this is win-win for as a business and the customer standpoint. So I'm very excited about this project.
Yeah, well, congrats on starting on this and
you.
exclusive news here. Let's go, Sakie. All right, Bethany, what about you?
Yeah, definitely. So this one is actually very timely. It happened ahead of the season and it's being activated as we speak. So one of our platforms that we have is Friday Night Fenway. And what this is a pregame show that's on Friday home games, hence Friday Night Fenway. So something we looked at ahead of the season is ways that we can enhance this platform, maybe make it a little bit splashier than it has been in the past, and really drives home to that point of like enhancing the viewer experience. So at the same time, we are in conversations with the Friendly Toast, which is a New England staple, but it's a brunch and bar spot. There's 13 locations throughout the New England footprint. So like, hello, we're covering all of that. So like, how are we gonna collaborate and what can we help you accomplish? And one of the main things that they wanted to push was their weekend brunch. So my ears perked up for that because I don't know about you guys, but weekend brunch, I'm in.
Love a brunch.
Your weekend looks different if you know there's brunch in it.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
we were like, okay, well, actually, this makes a lot of sense because, if your Friday night looks different if you know there's brunch plans in it. So like, let's use this Friday Night Fenway platform to kind of as a vehicle to drive the messaging that they're trying to accomplish. But also, again, at the same time, to the last question, like we want to make it as custom as we possibly can. So there's two ways that I feel we really got creative with it. There's a lot of ways we got creative, but there's two that really stuck out to me. One of them was we brought one of the co-owners on to, also success story, they did come on and sponsor the show. When they signed, we talked about ways to best activate and ways to make this feel organic and the best outcome for them. And one of them was to have one of their co-owners come on to the pregame show that they're the entitlement sponsor of and bring food and drinks and just give him the chance to really organically talk about his brand and talk about things that he wants to bring awareness to, as opposed to just like presented by the Friendly Toast. Like there's ways to get a little bit granular there and make it feel, really homey and custom for them in that aspect. So I thought that was a really cool moment for him to come on and to his show and really like talk about that. So it was really special. Happened a few weeks ago. And then another one is like a super small tweak that I think was just like icing on the cake for us. A lot of our sponsorship messaging is presented by, sponsored by, which is like typical sponsorship messaging. With the Friendly Toast, we use Fueled By. So it's Friday Night Fenway, fueled by the Friendly Toast. You have to say that very slow. But,
Tongue twister.
I think it was just a way that like really put the bow on that and made it feel like if you're listening and it's on the background and you hear Fueled By, you're like, Fueled By? Like that's new, like let me learn more. What's the Friendly Toast? And you're like digging into that. So again, just like one word difference there, but I think a way that we really got custom. So it's their first entitlement sponsorship with us, so we're really excited about it and looking forward to the future successes with them.
Yeah, wow, congrats. Isn't that funny how one word can just really change things?
Yeah.
Sounds so good and like so natural off the tongue, but also when you're saying it might be a tongue
Yeah,
twister.
you gotta go slow. Don't say it three times fast.
All right, Emily, what about you?
Yeah, so one example that I feel like really shows the success of how we bring brands to life at NESN is with Bauer Hockey. So last year, the PWHL was in its inaugural season. The Boston team, it was just PWHL Boston, they didn't even have a name yet, was having an iconic season, like record-breaking games, really, really exciting season to watch. And we had their coverage on NESN, but no sponsor tied to them. Bethany and her team worked tirelessly to bring in Bauer as a sponsor for the PWHL playoff coverage on NESN. So when that sponsorship was locked in, to Bethany's point, we really started to work alongside the sales team from a marketing perspective to really get creative on how can we go above and beyond to really show Bauer the commitment we have to women's sports, as we see with the Women of NESN brand, but also just bringing their brand message and their brand goals to life. And so what we did in collaboration with sales and a number of different teams internally was really create a very cohesive multi-platform promotional plan. So really kind of going back to my previous answer, which is meeting fans wherever they are and making sure that they see PWHL, NESN, Bauer, no matter where they are, whether that be on TV, on web, on social, print, etc. Having a multi-platform presence that really drives home the message that these two brands are in alignment, they're in lockstep, and you should be tuning in. Yep. Really excited to say again that the PWHL Game 5 Finals was our top women's sports ever viewed game on NESN 360, broke a ton of viewership records on both the streaming and linear side. So having that in itself to bring back to Bauer on top of, you know, this multi-platform approach that we put together to promote Bauer and PWHL playoffs on NESN was super exciting, and I think really just shows our commitment to elevating their brand message and going above and beyond. And really what that collaboration and work led to was Bauer coming back this year for an entitlement sponsorship of all PWHL coverage across all of NESN platforms. So while we are definitely rooting for the fleet, we do have other teams across the PWHL on NESN, and so Bauer has the entitlement sponsorship to all PWHL coverage, and they really were sold into the multi-platform approach and now see their sponsorship across a number of different platforms, social, linear television, etc. So I think it just goes to show it's a win for Bauer, for NESN, but also for the women's sports industry as a whole, where we're seeing sponsorship dollars start to finally come in for women's sports.
Come on in.
Yes, exactly.
What are you waiting for?
Right.
What are you waiting for?
Really, really a win for everyone and for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, wow. Well, you guys have some awesome roles. Like, just from that, I'm like, wow, I want to work in each of your roles.
Come on over.
And also, congrats, like, on all the work you guys have been putting in and, you know, reaching those milestones and creating your new thing. I mean, it's just so cool to see you guys. Seems like you're thriving in these roles. So really, really awesome. I want to close this out by giving each of you giving a piece of advice of something that has stuck with you over your time here in the sports industry or at NESN that you would like to share with the women or girls listening who want to get into the sports industry as well. What would you tell them? Start with whoever wants to go first. Yeah, go ahead.
Mine sounds cliche, but I would really lean into mentorship. And I think my biggest piece of advice is that mentorship does not have to be via a formal mentorship program or formal matching process. Someone once told me to find someone who has your dream job and connect with them. And I think there's so many connection-based tools that we have access to today. It could be TikTok, it could be Instagram, it could be LinkedIn, it could be you walk up to them at a networking event. But finding someone who has that dream job and nurturing a relationship with them and having tangible questions that you can ask them and go to them for. I think having a support system of someone who inspires you but also challenges you and also empowers you has been really a key to success in my career so far.
I love that. I think making mentorship like more casual is important.
100%.
It seems kind of like scary mentorship. It seems so serious. It's like it can literally just be having a conversation with a person and getting deeper into their role and, you know, connecting one-on-one. So I love that.
Slide into those DMs.
Yeah, DMs. Whatever. Love that. Sakie, what about you?
Yeah, a little bit similar but different from Emily. So I have two pieces of advice. So one is expand your network, and second one is find your own circle. So I think it's really important to expand your network, either like online, as Emily said, or even a conference or you never know which connection is gonna help your career. And the sports industry is definitely male-oriented. but there are so many women leadership that willing to help young generations. And I was one of them that was helped, and it was very helpful, you know. And also like having your own circle is another thing because they are your cheerleader.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to share your big dream. And if you have any like big opportunity comes, share and listen to their feedback. When I had a big presentations, I did a mini dry run with them. They have a feedback. And when the actual presentation happened, they are the front row. And when you see them, I feel comfortable presenting my, presentations. But everything went successful. And these like a little cheerleading moments gonna help leading up the bigger career moments. So yeah, this
Completely.
is definitely two advice.
Yeah, you got to have your team. You got to have your support system too, because it's tough in the sports industry. All different departments. You got to have those people who can give you advice and just listen to you. So I appreciate that advice. Bethany, what about you?
Yeah, so bear with me because the first time I heard this, I was like, what the heck is this person talking about?
Okay.
But I'll explain it. So my piece of advice is you can't say no to an opportunity that you don't have. And when I first heard it, I'm like, yeah, obviously, like I don't have the opportunity, so I can't say no to it. But what it means is like, raise your hand, apply for the job, ask the question. Because if you don't, you're counting yourself out before you're even considered, before you even have a chance to make that decision. And I think often, especially as women, we may be a little bit more reserved in that space because we're nervous. I shouldn't be doing that. That'd be crazy. I'm not fully, qualified to do that. But like, what are we afraid of? Getting no? I think the no is actually pretty cool. I think, one, you took a risk and in a space that you maybe have not felt comfortable with before, so you already learned that and you put yourself out there and you were uncomfortable and you'll be more comfortable next time. And I think, it's never rejection, it's redirection.
Love that.
So I think it's okay. Like, learn and accept that no is okay. And don't say no to an opportunity you don't have.
That's amazing advice. Yeah. Appreciate you guys so much for coming
Yeah,
on. You guys have all amazing roles and it seems like you're working so hard in them. So appreciate your time and thank you guys for coming on Women Changing the Game.
Thank you for having
Thanks,
us.
Mary Kate.
I'm your host, Mary Kate Siegel, and this is Women Changing the Game.